Good evening. Welcome back to the Bitcoin Zodiac. I hope you've had a beautiful Christmas, New Year, and now Chinese New Year. It's been a minute since I've been with you guys, and I hope you've been doing well. As you can tell, I haven't been that well for the last week or so. I've had a bit of a chest infection, and I lost my voice entirely, which my family were actually quite happy about, but it is coming back. So hopefully I can make it through this whole video and it can last. But if at some point in the video I switch to like an AI voiceover with a PowerPoint presentation, then don't worry, I haven't been like captured and replaced by like a Chinese DeepSeek AI character or something. It's just that my voice has not made it through the entire video of what I've got to tell you guys. So anyway, as you can see, I'm not at home. Sorry, the lighting is kind of terrible here. But I'm just doing my best working with what I've got. And I just felt that it's been so long since I've seen you and so brought anything. So this first new moon of the year, new moon in Aquarius, I wanted to come and have a chat with you guys because January 2025 has really gotten off to a kind of crazy start. There's so many things that have happened between the fires in LA and the inauguration of President Trump and all of those kind of things. The markets have been a bit mental. So not even really, I mean, I have been trading, of course, but like a bit hectic. So we all kind of knew that that was going to be the case. So not that necessary to be looking to astrology to tell you that there's going to be volatility because we already knew that. Um, but yeah, we've had a lot of stuff. So since the beginning of the year, we've really started. The one I want to talk about first is the Mars retrograde in Leo and then moving into Cancer, because that is actually going, like it started on the 6th of December and it's going to be in retrograde till the 23rd of Feb. So we started to see some effects of it, of course. And during the retrograde in Leo, the usual bold kind of speculative energy is kind of dampened. So this can sort of lead to some hesitation in markets driven by confidence and or lack of confidence and risk. Um, and Bitcoin is really a market that is like driven by confidence and is seen as a risk on asset, of course. So enthusiasm for speculative assets like Bitcoin kind of waned a little bit in that time. We've seen that in the price action. I mean, we've had it go up to, I think since I was last on, we've had it create new all-time highs at like 108 and then come right back down to like 89 or 88 or something like that. And then, we're kind of back up and back down. And I'm hoping to see Bitcoin sort of turn 100K now into the floor and that like major support level. But we really could have another flush out of those levels. There's a lot of liquidity sitting down there around the early 90s, to be honest. So I'm not ruling that out entirely. Do I want to see it? No, I'm bored of seeing it. But again, it's just another time to accumulate and to add more to your position, your long-term position I'm talking about. So I guess any time that we are under 100, it's still a really good buy. And so maybe we should be grateful, but I'm a little bored of that. I'm ready for like, banana zone moon period. Like, let's get on with it. But we're not there yet. And so yeah, so we saw that with that kind of dampened energy, Leo energy. And then that Mars retrograde in Cancer can kind of, which happened the 6th of Jan. So it moved out of Leo and then retrograding into Cancer. Um, can lead to more like a heightened emotional decision making. So like kind of through December, we saw that like not nothing that exciting. And then I mean towards like later half of December, nothing's too exciting. And then we had 6th of January, we moved into the retrograde in Cancer. And this is like more bringing much more emotion into it, much more emotional decision making. So people are kind of also more focused on protecting their assets rather than seeking like aggressive growth in that kind of period. So for the remainder of this Mars retrograde, I expect to see some risk aversion. So people prioritizing safer assets, maybe We've obviously just had a massive dump in the NASDAQ, in the tech stocks, because of this Chinese AI, launch of this Chinese AI, which I don't think that's the reason for it. I think that's just an excuse for it to pull that market back a bit. Um, but people, regardless, people are pulling money out of more high risk options and putting them into safer bet or in cash. So the liquidity has been really low the last 2 months as well. And yeah, I expect to see some, liquidity starting to come back into the market, but not towards till sort of the beginning of next month. So people are more in defense mode at the moment. So looking at defensive investments and, more interest in like tangible assets like real estate, commodities, and things like that, reflecting Cancer's focus on security and home and things like that. And I think all of the terrible things that have been happening, that happened in LA with the fires, and I think also in Wyoming, there's been a lot of natural disasters recently. And yeah, and so this has been a real focus on like home and value and survival really. And so I think we're going to see a bit more of that. And I hope that anybody listening to this that was affected in LA, my heart really goes out to you, and I hope that you're safe and safe and sound, and your home is also safe. Thank goodness my family are okay. But I think it's like been a really traumatizing time for people in LA in general. So the next thing that we had in January was on the 11th, we had these lunar nodes entering Pisces and Virgo. And this I wanted to highlight, even though it's already passed. It's important because it's going to be for the next 18 to 19 months, this is going to be on our radar and impacting us. So um, the lunar nodes entering Pisces, the North Node entering Pisces, the Virgo South Node. So the lunar nodes really represent the karmic axis in astrology, and a shift into new signs every 18 months-ish bring really significant shifts in collective focus and also in destiny. So when the North Node moves into Pisces and the South Node into Virgo, the overarching energy shifts towards themes of spirituality, creativity, and that surrender coming from Pisces, while moving away from the more like rigid structure, and hyper analysis and over perfectionism of Virgo. So we're moving away from that. And in the context of financial astrology, this shift impacts market sentiment, investor psychology, and also trading strategies. So for Bitcoin and other financial markets, the nodal axis in Pisces and Virgo brings this mix of uncertainty, intuition, and the need for adaptability. So the North Node in Pisces is really about embracing intuition, creativity, and spirituality. So Pisces themes of like Pisces is a mutable water sign. It represents intuition and dreams and creativity and just a sense of flow. So it values interconnectedness and collective well-being over like rigid materialism. So we could see some increased volatility because Pisces energy is very fluid and much less predictable, so potentially leading to some heightened volatility around, for this period, really. And we did see that kind of around mid-Jan as well. So um, yeah, we also will see like greater interest in visionary and futuristic assets such as Bitcoin, which aligns with the ideals of decentralization and collective progress. So investors, will probably prioritize long-term visionary investments rather than like detailed short-term strategies. So we're kind of moving away from that. And then the South Node in Virgo, we're letting go of that perfectionism and over-analysis. So Virgo is the mutable earth sign linked to practicality, analysis, and precision. And its energy really focuses on the details, on systems and methodical approaches. So we're seeing a shift from that detail to intuition. So shift from Virgo detail to intuition, Pisces. So overly analytical approaches to trading and investing may lose effectiveness during this period, requiring a sort of more flexible, big picture mindset. And there's also going to be a reduced focus on traditional systems. So markets are really kind of moving away from the heavily systematized institutions, um, and wanting to embrace more futuristic, adaptive approaches. So there is a potential for overcorrection here. So letting go of Virgo's meticulousness can really lead to like some errors in judgment. And we don't want to be ignoring critical details just because we're in this like dreamy, Pisces futuristic state, right? We want to tamper that a little bit, but we also just don't want to get bogged down in the analysis. This is the time for that big picture view, and that's the time to lean into it. Um, so I think there's going to be really an increased focus on decentralized ideas because Pisces aligns with this collective, really emphasizing decentralization and global impact. So Bitcoin's narrative is really, aligned to that in as a decentralized, borderless asset and currency. And so that really resonates with this energy. So I expect a renewed interest in Bitcoin as a tool for financial freedom, with discussions around global adoption really gaining momentum over the next 18 months. So, Pisces energy can bring this heightened market sentiment, though, really leading to emotional buying and also selling behaviors. So, Bitcoin's price may experience some really sharp fluctuations as people react to news and narratives rather than fundamentals. So as I say all the time on here, the only way that you can really ride the Bitcoin roller coaster is if you have a deep understanding of what Bitcoin is and why Bitcoin is, and you're able to ride out those kind of like FUD and news and all of that garbage. You've got to be, the only way you can do that is to have a very deep understanding yourself of what's up, really. And so I really would recommend doing that. And so that you can focus on the fundamentals. You can't buy something like Bitcoin because somebody else told you to, because someone else said, oh, it's a good idea, buy it, it's a good idea. You're not going to be able to hold it throughout all of the ups and downs, the roller coaster rides, the sharp, flush outs, and all of the random negative press that Bitcoin gets, undeservedly, actually, a lot of the time. Um, you have to have your own foundational knowledge, which breathes conviction for you, right? To be able to ride that out. So the South Node in Virgo also suggests like this tendency to overlook details during this period. So we just want to remember that, like, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Those skills that we've gleaned through that South Node, we want to keep some of those, but we just don't want to be dependent on them anymore. We don't want to be clinging to the past and clinging to them anymore. We're moving into fresh energy. But you don't want to, as I said, you can overlook details during this period, increasing the risks also for like scams and poor investment decisions. We are coming into that time of the market where we're going to see tons of stuff like be thrown at us, like the future of finance and this product is going to save the world, and all of that crap. Like a lot of them are scams, really. So yeah, we've got to be aware of that, and we've just got to be we've got to keep that in the back of our mind of like, is this too good to be true? Um, yeah, it probably is. So just exercise some caution. This is not necessarily to do with Bitcoin per se, it's more to do with the rest of the crypto market, but it can come to do with Bitcoin when it's like products. Like, I think there's probably going to be a ton of products come out in the next couple of months to a year that is like how allowing you to borrow against your Bitcoin. But we need to be really careful about this, because it's a really good way to lose your Bitcoin as well. So just be aware of those kind of things. And for me, I don't need to be the first person to use these things, to be honest. I want to see them prove themselves at least over a whole cycle before I'm interested in even exploring them really. But it's really fun to read about them and see all of the kind of like progress and innovation that entrepreneurs are like building around Bitcoin. But don't be too quick to like jump into unproven projects, especially if it's asking you to put your Bitcoin on the line. You want to be a bit careful with things like that. So just things to watch for during this next 18 months, while we have this North Node in Pisces and South Node in Virgo, is an overconfidence in speculative markets. So an emotional decision making can really lead to overconfidence in volatile or unproven investments. So you want to maintain some discipline and set realistic expectations. So as I just said, be aware of scams and deceptive projects. Like Pisces shadow side does include like illusions and deception. So just be very, very cautious of new projects promising unrealistic claims and returns. And also, we want to just be, watch out for maybe market fatigue. This, which I feel like we are already seeing, is that there's this transition away from Virgo's precision, can lead to market fatigue as traders and investors struggle to find clarity amidst this emotional or confusing trends. Like, I don't know about you, but as a trader last week, the market was so shitty. Like, it was such a mess. And it is really frustrating when you're wanting to trade in a very calculated way, which I wouldn't recommend trading any other way. But this can cause you to be like, it's just exhausting when there's like a news event every day, and then there's bank holiday, and one of the sessions doesn't do something, and then there's an inauguration, and everything is just a mess. So I can see where this like market fatigue can come in when we're more in this like Pisces, fluid, dreamy, emotional space rather than like this very hardcore, like nice price action. So yeah, just be aware that there could be some market fatigue. So really the lunar nodes in Pisces and Virgo are inviting a shift towards visionary, intuitive approaches to finance, investment, and, Bitcoin is really poised to benefit from this alignment, with Piscean ideals of decentralization and collective well-being. However, this period does require some careful navigation of just that emotional volatility. So you just want to be aware of that and keep that in check. Okay, and then of course we moved into Aquarius season on January 20th. So on the day actually of Trump's inauguration, we moved into Aquarius season. And I love Aquarius energy. I don't have any Aquarius placements on my chart, but I really am down for Aquarius energy. I love Aquarians. Um, some of my favorite people actually, like really cool people, apart from Sagittarius, who are obviously the best, but Aquarians are also really, really interesting too. So um, the essence of Aquarius season really represents freedom, wisdom, and the collective spirit. So it sparks this global transformation through personal truth. So it's really, as I've said before in previous episodes, the focus is really on the collective, but it's not sort of this like mass, like mediocrity across the board. What it is it's like transformation on the collective from the personal. So through the personal and through the individual. And so that's like really interesting to me because that's the only way I think that the collective can be transformed, to be honest, in a healthy way, is, from the inside out, from the micro into reflective in the macro. So um, Aquarius is an air sign. It's governed by Uranus and Saturn. So it inspires evolution and higher consciousness. So it encourages breaking free from outdated patterns to reveal authentic self-expression. So we exist within this shared web of beliefs, of cultural norms, of societal attitudes, and, you know, sort of collective agreements, really. And so each individual contributes to and is shaped by this collective energetic field. And so Aquarius's role is really to illuminate collective consciousness, and it very much invites us. It invites transformation from within. So it encourages questioning established paradigms and accessing untapped personal genius, which I just find so interesting at this time of like, AI, and there's such a focus on AI. Obviously, China like kind of blew the US out of the water, open AI out of the water this week by creating this new, I think it's called DeepSeek platform, large language model. And there's such a focus on, you know, building AI, teaching AI, growing AI. And my kind of argument or counter argument to this, or maybe where I feel that like I come in to contribute to the collective, is I kind of want to focus on human growth and evolution as well. Like nothing against AI, cool. It's here to serve us, it's here to work for us. But I also think that like we use so little of the faculties that we have of being human, that we need to put equal amount of energy and attention into learning those things, stepping into those things, teaching ourselves, evolving, growing in those higher faculties of being human, those more sixth sense abilities, those intuitive giftings, those psychic abilities. I think that these are really, really important moving forward. As AI kind of does a lot of the administrative stuff for us, we want to be moving into the creative field. And I think that like we need to, as a society, be paying as much attention to human intelligence, expanded human intelligence, as we are to expanding artificial intelligence. So that's something that I'm really, really passionate about. I'm really passionate about pushing that as well, and just encouraging people to step into that in a deeper way. It sounds crazy, it sounds woo-woo, but like just go with it and see how it feels. Aquarius season, the Aquarian age, like this is the time for that kind of weird stuff. And it's going to get really weird. So we need to lean into this stuff, and now is the time to do that, right? So we really want to be also claiming personal power. Like we are active participants, not passive inheritors of our reality. Like we're actively participating in co-creating our reality. And we need to lean into that. We need to understand that and claim our personal power in that. So it's also a really good time, Aquarius season, for self-discovery. You want to be uncovering your authentic self beneath the societal conditioning. So really be challenging inherited limitations to reveal unique perspectives. So the first gift of Aquarius season is really in recognizing individual truth as a catalyst for collective transformation. So the next area that we want to focus on in Aquarius season on a personal level is breaking patterns and aligning with authenticity. So we very much want to be examining beliefs and behaviors. I really try and do this all year round personally. Because I do recognize that one of the greatest gifts of being human is that we are programmable. And there's a lot of freedom in that, because we can reprogram, if we're running some old programming that we maybe picked up and established when we were like 6 years old, we might want to reprogram that. And it's such a powerful realization and confirmation through neuroscience. I mean, the mystics and the ancient texts and religions have been talking about this for centuries, but it's kind of been confirmed more recently in modern neuroscience that we are programmable, and there's so much freedom and power in that, that we can, rewrite and reprogram those beliefs. But with that, we also have to recognize that we have been programmed. So we really want to look at this time, during this time, at areas that we maybe have been programmed. What do we, just receive as being true that we've never really researched or looked into or, tried to have a deep understanding of. We just accept it as truth. So a lot of, we want to identify patterns as well that are rooted in societal programming rather than personal truth and understanding. So we want to reflect on how these patterns influence the energy contributed to the world. So really question the origins of your thoughts and your beliefs. And, are they yours or are they inherited? And if you realize that they're inherited, like, who told you that? Like, is that voice a valid voice? Would you listen to that voice today? And you really want to be able to question those things and replace any fear-based patterns with more authentic choices and more authentic truths. So then the second gift of Aquarius season is really the courage to embody authenticity despite external judgment. So personal transformation shifts collective vibrations and it really fosters global change. So basically, the more you embody your authenticity and walk that out in the earth, the greater the contribution to the collective. Like that's what we need from you. That's what the world needs from me, is it needs me to be as authentic as possible and commit to that and more each day. And that's what we all can contribute to the collective. So I think that's really cool. It's a trip that I've been on for a really long time. And I love that this is sort of aligning so beautifully with these kind of cosmic alignments. And you really want to harness that frequency and vibration. Your energy really matters. So your emotional states, thoughts, and actions shape, your vibrational output. So those frequencies that you broadcast into the world really influence both your reality and the reality of others, the reality of the collective. So you want to make sure that you're observing how gratitude, joy, or even like frustration, anger, sadness, grief, really impact your frequency. And notice the energy that you can contribute in interactions and its effects on the collective. So you want to maintain steady authenticity despite external pressures. Because there are a lot of external pressures telling you that you need to be this way, or you need to conform, you need to be like everybody else. And, I'm just here to tell you that that's bullshit because we actually need you to be as authentic and true to yourself as possible. So, really, Aquarius's call to action is that view reality as this dance of frequencies and shift your vibration to elevate your experience and your surroundings. So, you want to align with your truth to catalyze collective evolution and boldly challenge outdated systems and create space for new possibilities. So, your role in this is to lead with courage, originality, and vibrational awareness, and also inspire change through authenticity, contributing to a brighter, more connected future. So, it's kind of beautiful. I love that. Okay, so then the other sort of notable thing that we had was on 21st, I'm sorry, of January, which was this Pluto Cazimi. So, and that was like the day after Trump's inauguration. So I just thought it was a really interesting kind of time. And it was also on the same day as Trump's inauguration was also like Martin Luther King Day as well. So he was like the chief spokesperson for nonviolent activism in the civil rights movement. And he really protested, obviously, against racial discrimination in federal and state law and civil society. And I think this is really important when I'm going to describe the Pluto Cazimi. Because basically Pluto Cazimi occurs when Pluto aligns exactly with the sun within a very narrow orb, like typically less than 1% actually. And so this symbolizes a moment of heightened intensity and transformation. So in astrology, Pluto represents power, transformation, destruction, and rebirth, while the sun signifies vitality, purpose, and illumination. So a Cazimi really amplifies Pluto's transformative power, shining a spotlight on these themes of control, hidden dynamics, and deep systemic changes. So it really signals a period of potential upheaval, uncovering hidden truths, and an opportunity for renewal in the financial systems, because that's what we're interested in, but actually in kind of the global systems of governance as a whole. And so when Pluto really steps into the sun's radiance, illusions just dissolve, revealing only the undeniable truths of what must be transformed or let go. So I just thought that was interesting because I think Trump made a lot of sort of, he was going to release documents and he's going to do that. So a lot of promises during his election cycle of revealing truths and allowing those sorts of things to come out into the public sphere. So let's see if that happens. Another thing that we did see as well was Ross Ulbricht has been freed, which is amazing. And I'm really happy that he kept that promise to the Bitcoin community because that was really, really important to us. So Ross Ulbricht, if you don't know, was the founder and creator of the Silk Road, which was a kind of marketplace that existed on Tor browser. So he within that marketplace, he's a libertarian, so he actually believes that adults have the right to kind of choose to buy and do whatever they want, which I somewhat align to in a way. Um, but he basically there was distribution, I guess, of drugs and I think murder for hire and things like that. There's a whole film about him if you want to look it up. But really what the focus was his over sentencing. So obviously this was all legal, but really the focus was about how he was sentenced. And my opinion was he was sentenced not in accordance to his crime, but in accordance to his political ideals. Like obviously the government does not have libertarian ideals of wanting a smaller government, reduced government, more of an administrative role of government rather than a power role of government, which is what I believe government should be. That's where I do agree with libertarian ideals. But so he was really punished for his political perspectives, and he was charged as if he was a cartel. And he was given 2 life sentences without ever having the hope of parole and some other things as well thrown in. So Trump did actually pardon him and he was freed. And God bless him and his mother, especially his mother, who really fought for him to be free since he was in prison. I think he's been in prison for 13 years, so a really, really long time. But so Trump did free him. And but in regards to this Pluto Cazimi, this is what it does. Like this Pluto is all about death, rebirth, transformation, and uncovering hidden truths. And so yeah, it's very much intensified when it is aligned with the sun's illumination. So Pluto's energy draws the sign that it influences into the depths of the underworld, and it's urging us to confront its shadow aspects and uncover hidden truths. So this journey really compels us to question our beliefs, our values, and the frameworks that we've built to navigating life. And during this Pluto Cazimi in Aquarius, we're faced with profound reflections on the essence of the human condition and the trajectory of progress and the integrity, of the causes that we choose to champion. And I think this was a really important transit to happen on the inauguration day, or the day after, sorry, the inauguration day. Because obviously, I don't know, this is my own personal opinions. I wasn't a big fan of Biden or any of his policies, or the fact that he wasn't of sound mind and he was the president of arguably the most important, well, powerful countries in the world. I had a problem with that. I don't know why that's so offensive to people, but it is. And I'm also not a huge fan of Donald Trump. I really do hope that he is going to fulfill the promises that he made through his election, but I just don't believe in worshiping another human being or looking to someone else to save you. We don't need political saviors here. And he has been going out all guns a blazing, with Colombia and, all sorts of different things that he's been doing. He wants to take over Greenland, I think, or Iceland, one of them. I always get them confused. And I think it's Greenland. And, he wants to change the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. I don't know. But yeah, so he's doing all these things and hopefully he's going to do the things that he promised. But from a Bitcoin perspective, there's been a lot of talk about the Bitcoin strategic reserve. And he did write an executive order about a working group to establish a strategic reserve, but it's actually not a Bitcoin strategic reserve. It's a crypto strategic reserve. And he also, just before he took office, launched a meme coin. And he also purchased some ETH, some wrapped Bitcoin, I think some other projects as well, but none of them were real Bitcoin. And so we shall see how that plays out, um, and how that plays out for America, really, because it kind of allows other countries to sort of front run them with the only asset that actually is hard sound money in the digital ecosystem. So there's also a lot of stuff going on with XRP that I think is kind of gross and ugly and not very impressed with. But you guys can look that up for yourself. You can Google it for sure. And yeah, I just think that this Pluto Cazimi is reminding us, it's shining a light on things that we really need to look at, uncovering these hidden truths, systemic issues that we've been processing for a very, very long time. These are the things that we need to shift and change. And this is what this Pluto Cazimi, the day after Trump's inauguration, really highlights. So Pluto's lessons really remind us that transformation often begins with disruption. So a lot of people, including myself, could see that as Donald Trump coming back into office. He's disruptive, whether you like it or not, he's disruptive. And by leaning into the opportunities presented during this Cazimi, we can align our choices with deeper truths, paving the way for like long-lasting growth and empowerment. So we just need to be aware and take a look at that. So that leads us into the present day. So the 29th of January, today is the new moon in Aquarius, and there's lots of Aquarius energy at the moment. We obviously have the sun and the moon in Aquarius, and we also have Mercury and Pluto in Aquarius as well. So lots of yummy Aquarius energy. And it's the first new moon of 2025 and your energetic reset for 2025. So it's exciting. So it's like a powerful energetic reset. It's an opportunity to realign with your deepest desires and to set the frequency for your entire year ahead. So I really think that the manifestation process starts with the new moon in Sagittarius. And then the foundations of that are built with the new moon in Capricorn. And now this is really the energetic side of it, the energetic reset with the Aquarius new moon. So that process has was started way back in December. So your frequency really does shape your reality, and you are pure energy, and you're constantly emitting a signal to the universe. So the frequency that you vibrate at really does determine what you attract: opportunities, relationships, abundance, and synchronicities. So the empowering truth in this is that you can control and affect your frequency. So this new moon really invites you to align with the vibration that feels most authentic to you. So reconnect to your truest energy. So go behind those societal layers, release external expectations, conditioning, and inherited beliefs. So find your home frequency. So beneath all of the programming, what energy feels most natural to you? Love, freedom, joy, abundance, and recognize lower vibrations also as temporary, but also those lower vibrations are not something you can ignore and pretend they don't exist. This kind of like toxic positivity or spiritual bypass. Those lower energies, those lower vibrations, those challenges, those doubts, those limiting beliefs, They're like passing clouds. They're not permanent, but they are something that you want to acknowledge. You don't want to suppress them. You give them more power when you try to suppress them. So you want to acknowledge them and just let them pass through you. You want to feel those emotions and let it pass through you, let it release. So you want to have a practice of setting your frequency daily. So just like choosing an outfit, you want to consciously choose and align with your desired energy each morning. You want to return to your essence. So when negativity arises, just pause, breathe, feel that uncomfortable emotion all the way through, and then shift back to a higher vibration, a higher emotion, on the scale of emotions. So you want to choose your dominant frequency for 2025. If it's abundance, cultivate gratitude. If it's love, expand your heart. If it's creativity, immerse yourself in inspiration. So create daily practices to sustain this frequency. So meditation, affirmations, visualizations, movement, breath work, yoga, and small, consistent rituals amplify long-term transformation. So understand the law of attraction, also understand the law of assumption, but also understand that the law of attraction is really more about self-worth than anything else. So like attracts like, self-worth attracts self-worth. So when you vibrate at a higher frequency, you draw in matching experiences. So experiences that match your self-worth. So embodying joy, gratitude, love, this all magnetizes those energies back to you. So we do have some alignments, some aspects this new moon. So we have the Mercury conjunct Pluto in Aquarius. So this is like deep clarity and truth. So it really reveals the core of your desires. So while you're setting your new moon intentions, you can kind of meditate and lean into this energy of this conjunction, this Mercury Pluto conjunction, because you want to be kind of manifesting and setting intentions from a very authentic, truthful space, and really, cultivating your spirit soul desires. So this enhances manifestation by cutting through the illusions, the ego, the uncertainty, and it encourages setting very powerful, deeply authentic intentions. We also have the sun and moon trine Jupiter in Gemini. So this is like expansion and possibility. So it opens doors of opportunity, growth, and learning. It also brings optimism and innovation to your vision. So it supports big picture thinking and dreaming beyond limitations. So to harness this cosmic energy, these cosmic energies, you really want to meditate, you want to journal, you want to spend some time in the void of this new moon, and just allow the Mercury Pluto to help you uncover hidden desires. So write out your intentions from a place of deep truth and just not surface level, like ego wishes. So also speak your intentions out loud. Jupiter in Gemini really amplifies the power of words. So verbalize your intentions as well. Expand your vision, think beyond what you previously allowed yourself to want. So let go of like outdated limitations and just dream bolder and dream bigger. Align with your soul's purpose. So Pluto in Aquarius really pushes authenticity. So this is your time to step into your true power. And it's also a really good time to connect with like-minded people. So Aquarius energy really supports collective manifestation and shared vision. Surround yourself with those who elevate and inspire you. So really, this new moon in Aquarius is your gateway to an expansive and transformational 2025. So you're the creator of your reality, and the energy that you hold determines what you react. So step into this new cycle with clarity, with boldness, and with this unwavering belief in your own personal power. So trust that as you align to your highest frequency, the universe will respond. And, set your intention, hold your vibration, and then just like watch the magic unfold. So, what does this hold for Bitcoin in this new moon period? So this new moon in Aquarius is actually in Bitcoin's seventh house. So really the house of exchanges, of valuations, of shares, scandals, and accounting. And there is a lot of talk about exchanges when there's high volatility, of pausing, of missing stop losses, and all of those kind of things. I personally am not a big proponent of putting in a physical stop loss order on an exchange. I do believe you should use stop losses if you're trading, but I prefer to set a alert in trading view, and then closing the position myself rather than having the stop loss sitting there on an exchange, because it does kind of create a liquidity pool. And we just don't want to do that. You will anyway create that if you are trading with leverage. There'll be a liquidation price, but hopefully your stop loss would be much before that liquidation price anyway. But so there kind of might be some scandals around exchanges and things like that. I think the more kind of scandalous things around Bitcoin at the moment are around this conversation about the Bitcoin strategic reserve, and how it's sort of in the US, it's sort of morphed into a crypto strategic reserve with a basket of American, you know, American crypto projects. So let's see how that morphs into being. I kind of feel that it actually will be a good thing in the end, to be honest, but I think that there is going to be a lot of argy-bargy about it. I mean, America already is a really big holder of Bitcoin because of the Bitcoin that they seized from various seizures, etc. And so we don't know if they're still accumulating Bitcoin or they're going to just keep that Bitcoin. Whether they even still have it, we don't know. But I think this does allow other countries to front run them. And I do think that this is kind of where the game theory kind of kicks into play. So it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out. But when a new moon occurs in Aquarius, which is a sign of innovation, technology, decentralization, and disruption, it really amplifies those themes of progress, transformation, and breaking away from traditional systems, which Bitcoin is all about. So for Bitcoin, the seventh house, as I said, governs exchanges, valuations of shares, scandals, accounting, and it also influences partnerships, legal matters, market adoption, and institutional relationships. So a new moon in Aquarius is in this house, does signal a shift in Bitcoin's relationships with external entities. So I've already touched on that a little bit with the US government or the new administration that's just come in. And also with institutions, we also just had Larry Fink at Davos, basically saying that he sees a 500, 700K Bitcoin this cycle. And so we're seeing like these different narratives kind of play out in these corporations and regulatory bodies as well. So there's a lot of shifts and a lot of change happening. When change happens in America, it affects the rest of the world. And so we are in that sort of phase of that like disruption happening, and we need to let the dust settle a little bit. But some of the key themes of this new moon is like institutional and corporate adoption. So suggesting, potential new alliances, agreements, or institutional endorsements for Bitcoin. So institutional or regulatory uncertainty as well can be there. And if that's present, then it can lead to some hesitation or surprise consolidation, which I think that we've really just been seeing over the last week or so as well, is, people don't know where to go with this at this point in time. We also might see a retail and public sentiment shift. So Aquarius governs decentralization, public innovation, and really suggesting a shift in how Bitcoin is perceived by the masses. So this could spark renewed retail investor interest in Bitcoin, as Bitcoin really aligns with more futuristic financial trends. We'll also probably see increased mainstream media coverage, shaping public perception, and also more grassroots adoption. So especially in countries that are seeking alternatives to traditional banking, seeking, desiring to de-dollarize or desiring to escape tariffs or, those kind of things. We don't know how this is going to play out. Um, we also could see innovation and technological breakthroughs. So the sign of Aquarius is really the sign of disruption, innovation, and future technologies. So we could expect breakthroughs in things like Bitcoin's layer 2 scaling solutions, like the Lightning Network, things like that. New technological advancements improving Bitcoin's efficiency and security, and institutional experimentation with Bitcoin-based financial products. So as I said, keep an eye out for that. I think there's going to be a lot around the tokenization of real world assets and, borrowing against Bitcoin. Those kind of products I think are really going to come out. So this new moon really marks a cycle of institutional engagement, regulatory shifts, and technological advancements. So if partnerships and regulations favor Bitcoin, then we'll probably see, some bullish things happen. And if there is still this period of uncertainty, in the short term, we can see some consolidation or some downward movement. So the market may experience some initial uncertainty, but long-term investors really should just view this as like a pivotal moment, really, because this new moon signals the next phase of Bitcoin's integration into the global financial landscape. And it's really making it a critical time to watch for major announcements, policy shifts, and strategic partnerships. So I would be looking for other countries. Like I know that there was Brazil actually was front running the US, and they have, passed into law that Bitcoin can be a reserve asset. So I would look for other countries that are wanting to do that as well. Then on the 1st of February, we have Venus conjunct Neptune and also the North Node in Pisces. So the Venus, Neptune, and North Node aligning in late Pisces kind of creates this astrological trifecta of illusion, idealism, and destiny. So each celestial body contributes unique energy. So Venus is about wealth and value and what we value, and it governs money, luxury, pleasure, and financial assets and beauty. And it influences market sentiment, investments, and spending habits. Then we have Neptune, which is the illusions, speculation, and it brings dreams, euphoria, and mass psychology. But also it brings deception, confusion, and can, lead to bubbles in the financial markets. And then we have the North Node, which is destiny and karmic evolution. So it represents like a collective future trajectory, really guiding markets towards new trends and financial paradigm shifts. So with Pisces being a mutable water sign, it governs fluidity and emotional responses and speculative market behavior. So this triple conjunction amplifies kind of like irrational optimism, speculation, and even market euphoria. So it makes financial markets a little vulnerable to emotional decision making, hype, and potential bubbles. So Venus and Neptune together can increase optimism and like a fantasy-like market conditions. So investors can act on irrational exuberance, overvaluing assets based on sentiment rather than fundamentals. So that's definitely something you need to be aware of. Then you could also have Neptune, which blurs reality, and it makes it really difficult to differentiate between genuine investment opportunities and hype-driven speculation. So again, I think this is more about the broader crypto markets and probably the NASDAQ as well. Are these like even real projects, or is this just like hype and things like that? And so you want to be able to like step away from that and lean out of that a little bit. And I also have always said like this Neptune influence I find really interesting with Bitcoin because it does seem to have this sort of illusionary quality to it. And it really only is for people with eyes to see and ears to hear. Like it's not, it can be sitting in front of someone and they still will not see it. And it's more because they don't want to see it, because what that means for other ideas that they hold really, tight to their chest and really important to them. But it has this illusionary quality. So if you're able to see beyond the veil and be able to dive into that understanding, I don't think it's just about hard work and I don't think it's about intellect. I think it's about an openness and an ability to see things that others can't see beyond the veil. And yeah, and so that's what I'd say about that. So, be aware of these illusions and be aware of these like kind of hype-based sort of kind of crazy things. Just be aware also of like financial fraud, market manipulation. The market makers are having a bit of a field day at the moment. And misleading narratives as well that can emerge. So any too good to be true opportunities may attract retail investors, but then they're likely to be too good to be true. So you want to be on the lookout for potential scams. You should be very wary of, your own personal like Bitcoin security, and you should be wary of deceptive investment opportunities, rug pulls, and just misleading, media hype, to be honest. And I even mean that in the Bitcoin community as well. Like that can kind of come in the form of like really extremely exaggerated price predictions for this cycle. Now, a lot of this is based on modeling, and that's great, but it doesn't mean that it's 100% accurate, and I totally believe that a lot of people have goodwill and best intentions when they're making these calls, but just be aware that no one actually knows how far Bitcoin is going to go this cycle. We just want to take it one step at a time, one level at a time, and assess as we go. Like that's my personal preference anyway. So the North Node really shifts the collective financial trajectory. So the North Node's presence in this transit really adds a karmic long-term element to this event. So new financial trends emerge, especially in decentralization, digital currencies, and alternative finance. So it's really big picture financial shifts that like maybe start now, but don't like fully materialize until later. So you want to sort of just be aware of that. But that's that North Node influence. It's like, it's where are we going? Where are we headed? It's not necessarily something that like eventuates and happens right now, right this second. So again, it's a long-term accumulation opportunity. While there's short-term volatility, this transit kind of reinforces Bitcoin's role as a future financial pillar in our society. So there is a potential for institutional adoption. Really, in a lot of these times of volatility and consolidation, that's what's happening. It's the institutions are building their own positions. So large players are beginning to build their positions in Bitcoin and crypto. And they're seeing that as a part of the evolving financial system. I think there's going to be a massive, massive focus over the next year on real world assets, tokenization of real world assets. We have the World Bank talking about it. We have, lots of different governments talking about it. We have lots of different funds. We have BlackRock talking about it. We have hedge funds talking about it. So it's going to be really, really interesting to keep an eye on that and how that evolves. So use this transit to just observe market trends rather than chasing hype. Be cautious of illusions and just stick to solid data-driven strategies. Stick to the data. And again, it's like I was saying before, the only way to be able to do that is to educate yourself. You can't be relying on friends to be like, hey, what should I buy? What should I do? When should I get out? You can only do this yourself. You can only ride this roller coaster yourself with your own conviction, your own understanding. So on that note, I do want to add that thank you so much for all of the feedback that we've been getting on our courses. You can find those at the bitcoinzodiac.com. under the education tab. And I love that you guys are getting value out of them and you're finding them useful. And I really appreciate the feedback. Please keep that coming because it just encourages me to make more of them. And so if you really want to learn, have a foundational understanding of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and blockchain technology, then you want to do those courses, and those are a great place for you to start. We also have courses from Annie, and she has the Trade by Design course and the Invest by Design course suite. And those are also on there. So if you really want to be able to navigate these markets a bit more strategically, then those are there for you as well. And this market has been a bit different to other markets, which we said in the very, very early episodes of the Bitcoin Zodiac. That this is not going to be a market that's the same as all of the other markets have been, where you can kind of, buy something and sit on it and just let it moon. You need to be a bit more tactical, and so you need to be have a bit more understanding of how markets work and what's really happening as you see these moves and shifts in the markets. So yeah, jump on those if you want to have a deeper education and understanding of that. And therefore, that then allows you to be cautious of all these illusions. There's another illusion that I also wanted to kind of touch on as well. And that's this thing about quantum computing and being a threat to Bitcoin. And the reason I bring this up is because I've had several people ask me about it. Now, I'm not an expert in quantum computing by any stretch of the imagination. So actually, what I did was I did some study on it myself, and then I also went and asked someone that is much smarter than me, a friend of mine that's much smarter than me and much more technical than I am. And the interesting thing about the quantum computing narrative, and this is what I talk about, narratives being spun about Bitcoin, is that potentially, yes, quantum computing is a threat to Bitcoin or could be a threat to Bitcoin. However, what is usually left out in these headlines and these titles is that everything else on the internet is actually more at risk from quantum computing than Bitcoin is. Bitcoin is much harder for it to be hacked than anything else, including the entire commercial banking system. So your bank account is much more at risk than your Bitcoin is. So it's definitely something worth looking into. But because of the way that Bitcoin is structured, it's actually much less susceptible to that than everything else on the internet, basically. All of the e-commerce, all of the commercial, but your commercial banking, your bank accounts. So, again, you have to question why these narratives are sent out into the collective consciousness around Bitcoin when they're not really giving the full story. So just be aware of those kind of illusions. I want you to sort of just have those in the back of your mind. And anytime you hear something like that, it's really worth digging a little deeper and going, hey, hang on a second, like, is that even true? And then recognize that there's still these narratives around. There's still people that really don't want you to buy Bitcoin. And also, they want you to be scared enough to sell your Bitcoins. They want it. There's only 21 million. If these big nation states and things like that going to be purchasing Bitcoin, large amounts of Bitcoin, where are they going to be getting it from? They want to take it from you. So that's just a reality. So embrace the long-term potential of Bitcoin's growing role in our financial system. Like that's really what this transit is sort of telling us. So this Venus-Neptune North Node alignment really signals a crucial turning point in the market behavior. So while we expect some short-term volatility, which can lead to some, speculative gains, long-term investors should really focus more on Bitcoin's future trajectory as it aligns with a sort of shifting global financial paradigm. Like that's what we're here for. That's what we're focused on. So stay grounded, avoid the illusions, stay out of the bullshit, and navigate this cycle with both intuition and strategy. Next, on the 2nd of February, we have Jupiter semi-squared Bitcoin's natal ascendant. So a semi-square, which is a 135-degree aspect, is a challenging minor aspect that creates underlying tension, friction, and exaggerated responses. So it often manifests as overconfidence or excessive optimism or misalignment between expectations and reality. So in this case, Jupiter, which is a planet of expansion and optimism and speculation, forms a semi-square with Bitcoin's natal ascendant. And that represents Bitcoin's public image, market identity, and price movement visibility. So this aspect kind of suggests that Bitcoin's perceived value, market sentiment, and trading activity can be inflated or distorted, leading to both overcorrections, overreactions and also overcorrections in price action. So I just want to be aware of this. Like, as I said, I think at the beginning of this video, I kind of want to see Bitcoin make 100K the floor now, and that real sort of support level. But we're not entirely out of the woods yet. There is quite a lot of liquidity sitting in the 90s, in the 80s, even in the 70s. I'm not saying that we're going to go down there, but I'm also not ruling it out, right? So we could see some really big corrections, and we could see some really big overreactions as well. So, maybe overreactions and then big corrections down. So just be aware of that. Jupiter's expansive energy can inflate Bitcoin's perceived value, leading to speculative price surges. So the semi-square introduces a lack of realism where investors may overestimate Bitcoin's growth potential in the short term. So this can result in sudden spikes followed by equally sharp corrections. So the public perception and media hype around this, like the ascendant represents how Bitcoin is perceived by the public. And the Jupiter semi-square ascendant can really distort this perception. So there could be a lot of media hype, exaggerated claims. Like I said before, there's a lot of Bitcoin price predictions for this cycle, floating around out there at the moment, or bold Bitcoin price predictions that can drive unsustainable excitement. So alternatively, also negative news can be really blown out of proportion. As I said, like quantum computing, we're not even there yet, but people are already freaking out about it and selling their Bitcoin because of it. This is blowing things way out of proportion, especially if you aren't like closing your bank account and removing money from your bank account. This is all out of proportion. And so it leads to kind of like panic selling, and it's not rational. So just be very, very cautious of market-driven, media-driven, price movements, and just don't get caught up in those hype cycles. So misinformation or exaggerated predictions, in either direction can lead to poor investment decisions. So stay rational, avoid emotional trading decisions, and watch for exaggerated market sentiment and overblown media narratives. So Bitcoin's long-term trajectory really remains very, very strong, but price swings can be significant, as we've seen in the last couple of weeks also. I mean, we've seen like 108 down to 88. Like, this is a lot. But the bottom line is that Jupiter semi-square Bitcoin's ascendant creates an illusion of unstoppable growth, but market corrections will follow once like reality sets in. It's not, one like all up. And I can see that, you know, it's not unusual for us to wake up in Bitcoin to some, God candle, right? And we suddenly think that's it. Bitcoin's going up only, it's going up forever. And that's just not a reality. Like market corrections can follow. We want that stable price action and gradually building and growing and creating just like some sustainable price action. On the 8th of February, we have the Saturn quincunx Bitcoin's natal Chiron and also midheaven. So a quincunx is a 150-degree aspect. It represents tension, misalignment, and necessary adjustment. So it forces integration between energies that don't naturally harmonize, requiring recalibration and restructuring. So in this case, it's Saturn, the planet of structure, restriction, discipline, and regulation, is quincunx Bitcoin's natal Chiron, firstly, which represents wounds, vulnerabilities, and past struggles in its journey. And then we have also, it is quincunx Bitcoin's midheaven, representing Bitcoin's public image, reputation, and overall trajectory in the global financial system. So this aspect creates challenges related to Bitcoin's growth, regulatory concerns, and institutional adoption. So it highlights a period of market tension, price volatility, and necessary recalibration for Bitcoin's long-term trajectory. So this is exactly what I'm talking about healthy price action, like healthy recalibration, healthy adjustments. So regulatory tension and institutional resistance, with Saturn at play here. Saturn governs and rules structure and authority, often representing government policies, leading to legal frameworks and institutional controls. So Bitcoin's midheaven represents its global reputation, and Chiron symbolizes past wounds, suggesting regulatory pressures may resurface. Like questions about, past wounds from Bitcoin may resurface again here. But with Chiron energy, it's always a transformative energy. So even though those wounds and questions may resurface, it's with the intention of overcoming them and transforming them and transcending them and being stronger on the other side of that. So I always find that super, super interesting. So possible government or institutional pushback, like we could see some bearish short-term price action if we see some like FUD in response to like any regulatory decisions. It could trigger a temporary dip. And also institutional hesitation. We don't really seem to be having a lot of that at the moment. But companies and investment funds may be delaying Bitcoin integration due to some uncertainty. I think the uncertainty around what this kind of US strategic reserve is actually going to be, I think that's causing a little bit of hesitation at this point in time. So we'll see what evolves from that narrative. Bitcoin's midheaven being involved suggests issues with its credibility and standing in financial markets. So it's like questioning, Bitcoin's role. Now, people who really understand Bitcoin already understand that like the purpose of Bitcoin is, you know, um, returning to integrity in our money, returning to hard sound money. And so there are other options that maybe governments adopt or, have as strategic reserve assets. But this is actually a mistake because it's, missing the actual fundamental benefit of Bitcoin. And, but that may be on purpose. Like the reality is as well, this is my perspective on the strategic reserve, is that Donald Trump is a politician at the end of the day. He is the president, whether you love him or whether you hate him, he is the president of the United States of America, which is arguably the most powerful country in the world at this point in time. And, even if you love Donald Trump and you believe he's Bitcoiner and whatever it is, there's some very interesting things that he's doing. Some of the things he's doing I like and I agree with. But I just don't personally believe in blindly following or worshiping someone, um, and sort of elevating them in my life to this point of beyond reproach, beyond questioning. And the reality is that Donald Trump is a politician and he is the leader of a country. Is he really interested in fixing the money, or is he interested in being in charge of or in control of and sitting right next to the largest money printer on the planet? He wants to be in charge of and in control of the dysfunction, in charge of the brokenness, the broken system, right? So it's maybe not in his interests to fix the money. And maybe that's what we're seeing playing out here. So I just want to introduce that line of thinking as an alternative. I'm not saying that it is what it is, but it's just another way of viewing things, but like open yourself up to some different realities as well. So the Saturn quincunx Chiron creates growing pains, forcing Bitcoin to address past criticisms such as volatility, security concerns, institutional skepticism, all of the things that have been thrown against Bitcoin. Some of these things are going to come back up, maybe even the quantum computing sort of thing. But again, it's addressing these criticisms as a way to move forward, and they're growing pains. Like they come with growth. So potential negative media narratives could intensify these concerns, leading to some doubt among retail and institutional investors. So it depends what you're in it for, and it depends what your belief system around Bitcoin is. But be patient. Bitcoin is going through necessary growing pains. Ignore unfounded FUD and focus on long-term fundamentals again. We have courses for that. If you're floundering in that, please, there's so many books you can read, there's so many courses you can do to really understand what you're looking at. This Saturn quincunx Bitcoin's Chiron and midheaven signals this period of tension, growth, and necessary recalibration. So while short-term regulatory struggles and market volatility may create uncertainty, Bitcoin's long-term trajectory remains really solid. So investors should just stay disciplined and manage risk wisely, and view challenges as opportunities for long-term financial evolution. So, as we know, this week we have the FOMC meeting, and I can see a lot of people that are pretty bullish about Bitcoin around this. Now, personally, I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing any bullishness till the end of the first week of Feb, till around the 9th of February. And then obviously we have a full moon period on the 12th. So I'm not seeing it to be particularly bullish up until that point. But come the 9th of February, we have the Mercury Cazimi in Aquarius. So if this FOMC meeting, I'd be a little bit careful. People are expecting, as I said, to be really bullish out of it. Um, I'm not really seeing that. I'm seeing some like sideways chop or downside, if anything. As I've discussed in these last aspects, it's kind of unclear of what it is, and it's kind of like a choppy recalibration moment period. And just following that new moon, I just think that it's unlikely we're going to see any big upside. But I'm always open to being wrong, but I can just call it like I see it. Like that's all that I'm doing. Also, I want to clarify this as well in terms of financial astrology, is that a lot of people think that it's like future predicting, it's predicting the future. But really, it's not. Like, I'm literally just reading the charts and back testing and telling you what happened previous times this happened, what the energy generally produces, and just calling it like I see it. So a lot of times we are aligned with that, of course. It has a great track record, but sometimes it's not entirely accurate. We don't claim it to be. Like, we're not fortune tellers. Financial astrologers are not fortune tellers. So if you see people on Twitter, there's lots of amazing financial astrologers out there, and they kind of do make more predictions than I do. I'm not really into making price predictions because I personally don't use financial astrology for that. I'm more price action based in regards to the markets in that way. And I use financial astrology as the macro of the macro. And that's how I like to use it. I don't really like to use it in a predictive sort of way. I like to just look at the landscape of the energies and sort of get a feel for and a backdrop, a context for the price action that I'm seeing playing out. So everybody approaches it differently, but go easy on some of the financial astrologers. They're not fortune tellers. That's not what we do here. So keep those expectations in perspective. But on the 19th, sorry, the 9th of Feb, we have a Mercury Cazimi in Aquarius. And I see this as a bullish aspect, because the Mercury Cazimi occurs again when Mercury aligns exactly with the sun, creating this moment of intense mental clarity, heightened communication, and deep insight. So this is a period when new ideas, breakthroughs, and market revelations emerge. In Aquarius, the sign ruled by, the sign of innovation, technology, decentralization, and progress, this Cazimi amplifies themes of futuristic finance, digital currencies, and disruptive technologies. So this aspect holds really significant implications for Bitcoin and the crypto market and AI and the Nasdaq. And it aligns naturally with Aquarius's visionary decentralized ethos. So Bitcoin really lines up with this. So Mercury governs news, communication, and market signals, making this a key time for financial revelations. So in Aquarius, this energy favors tech-based financial innovations, blockchain advancements, and Bitcoin-related developments. Expect major news, regulatory updates, and institutional Bitcoin adoption announcements. So the impact on the market, I can see it as being pretty bullish, actually, especially if announcements really support Bitcoin's mainstream adoption or technological progress. I could also see, again, countries that are wanting to de-dollarize, that are wanting to be more sovereign, that are wanting to align to hard money and really see Bitcoin's potential. I could see announcements of those sorts coming out during this time. Um, so just be aware that with this kind of like Mercury placement is that markets can react really, really quickly. So you could, you should be ready to watch for very sudden, volatile price action following news releases during this time. So around the 9th of Feb. Mercury and Cazimi creates this hyperactivity in financial markets. So it can lead to like very much increased speculation, increased volume, which will be much needed, and, price swings as well. So investors and traders will act on new information much faster than usual during this time. So it can happen like really, really quickly, creating short-term price spikes or corrections as well. But Aquarius influence makes Bitcoin and the rest of crypto more sensitive to global events. Um, it's like more tied into global events. So this really is a time for day traders to capitalize and take advantage of any quick price swings. But there'll be a lot more like increased liquidity in the markets, and Bitcoin could see like sharp price movements. There's potential for short-term price rally, especially if news aligns like with Bitcoin's bullish sentiment. And because Mercury rules perception, sentiment, and decision making, this Cazimi in Aquarius can really flip market sentiment rapidly. Positive narratives around Bitcoin's future could trigger renewed bullish enthusiasm. However, if there is fear-based news that emerges, like war or anything like that, it could dampen investor confidence as well. It could scare people out of risk on assets. So Aquarius really rules technological progress, and Mercury Cazimi here amplifies innovations in blockchain and finance. So this could signal new Bitcoin-related technologies or upgrades, and institutional adoption of blockchain, like in traditional finance, and regulatory clarity around Bitcoin and digital assets. So expect discussions around Bitcoin's role in the financial system. Expect that to intensify and heighten at this time. So just, yeah, the key takeaways from that is really watch for market moving announcements that could very much impact Bitcoin's price. And also Bitcoin's long-term role in the financial system is really strengthening. That's the theme really for this whole period. Even if we don't see it reflected in price, you have to have an understanding that that is where we're going. That is the trajectory. And Bitcoin's role is strengthening. And so I think that's really interesting. I think we could see a little bit of some positivity coming in here in the 9th of Feb. And then, of course, we have the full moon on February 12th, which, usually will print our local bottom, and we would hope to see some upward movement out of that. But we will get to those energies when we come to it. And I think my voice is just about done, but I made it through for you guys. So happy new moon, and have a fabulous couple of weeks. And I will see you for the full moon. In the meantime, peace, love, and Bitcoin.